And joining us right now, the Roth and Orthopedics guest line from Inside the Birds podcast. Inside the Birds, I should just really call it the network because you guys got a pregame show. You guys got, what do you got? You got the Q&A show with Jason Avant and Quentin Michael, of course. You guys got it all going on, and you, of course, do the Inside the Birds podcast with our good friend Adam Kaplan as well. Ladies and gentlemen, a man that needs no introduction, Geoff Mosher. What's up, Jeff?
What's up, Mark? You can call it Empire if you want. That's a network. Network's a nice term. Yeah. Empire seems more appropriate, I would think.
Yeah. I would, but then I'm going to see you and Cap walking around in the big, like, faux fur jackets and, like, the big top hats, like you're walking around with a cane. Like, that's just how I envision you guys when there's an empire involved. But, yeah, I guess empire would apply to you guys.
Well, we have an agreement that, you know, when that starts happening, it's sort of like the scene in Goodfellas where people start showing up in, bad places, right? And they start you buy the Cadillac, you wear the fur, you know what's going to happen, because we got some deals that I can't really talk about.
Somebody winds up in a freezer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I was just watching Goodfellas. You could not have picked a better time to reference that movie for me. When it comes to this Eagles season, as we were talking about before I hit record on this old interview here, it has been a bit of a crazy season, but I heard you ask a question to Jalen Hurts today, and I said, you know what? I got to talk to Geoff Mosher. Usually, when you see something a little bit unique in a young quarterback, when you see a defense play a young quarterback differently than everybody else, and the Giants blitzed Jalen Hurts more than anyone ever has this season, have the Giants cracked the code, being that Jalen Hurts had his worst game as a pro to date?
It's a good question, and I'm glad you brought it up. So I felt like, and I'm still in the midst of doing some research on this for the pregame show on Sunday about blitz percentage against the Eagles this year. I felt that the Saints came after Jalen Hurts also with a specific type of blitz, by the way. It's not just blitz percentage, but blitzing a nickel back, like a slot corner, which by nature of the design blitz coming from that area is a wide blitz, right? And what I think the Saints tried to do, but they sometimes did a good job, sometimes bad, was keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket by sending the blitz around him, right? I thought the Giants did a really good job of doing that, tightening up their coverage, funneling pressure from both the center and the edge to keep him from breaking, contain, and having those long runs outside the pocket. And the Giants even said that after the game. They said we wanted to make Jalen Hurts stay in there and beat us with his arm, and he was not able to do it against the Giants. So I do think that is something you're probably going to see moving forward. More teams, especially now that he may or may not have a banged up ankle, we'll see. But more teams pressuring him, but not just pressuring him more, but pressuring him from certain angles that are intended to keep him in the pocket. And then he'll break a few going forward. They'll live with that. He did it against the Giants, but more often than not, if you can keep him in the pocket and get good coverage, you can get your hands on some footballs.
I was almost reminded of, and it was a much different quarterback, a much different scenario, but it was almost the same attempt. I remember, I believe it was a preseason game, Ravens Eagles. Sam Bradford was the quarterback, and I think it was Terrell Suggs that actually went into the backfield and hit Sam Bradford on a read option play in the last year of Chip Kelly. I'm watching that, and I'm thinking the way the Giants are hitting Jalen Hurts is very similar, where they know they can get away with hitting the quarterback, even if he's giving the football away. So will that change the play calling of the Eagles if they see that from the Jets? Will we see any variation of this Eagles offense, anything different when they face the Jets this coming Sunday?
Well, any good offense, any good coach, right, is going to recognize what the defenses are doing and then try to add their own counter to it. Obviously, Jalen Hurts' running ability itself with the ankle might also play into what kind of offense they think that they can run. He didn't really run that much in the late in that Giants game, and you wonder if that was because the ankle or because they were down by the touchdown and they knew they had to pass to get back in. I don't know. We'll see. That's something that'll unfold going forward. You brought up that game against Bradford. I think even a more recent example of teams trying different things is probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. Was it the Thursday night game where the Dolphins played the Ravens and they blitzed Lamar Jackson at some incredibly ridiculously high rate? I think it was like 63% of dropbacks or something like that.
I know it was 25 times with corners alone. Yeah.
Right. I mean, they really came at him with corners, specifically designed to keep him as contained as possible, which, even with Lamar, he's going to beat you, but it was a successful recipe in that game. And this is what we've kind of talked about while the Eagles were starting to get stable. Like, you're doing something great. You're running the ball fantastically. And the more you're putting that on tape, you're running, then your quarterback design runs off of your conventional running game, the more opponents are going to just sell out to try to stop it and try to make you beat them in a different way. And that'll be the challenge for the Eagles over the last stretch here of the season is now that they're putting stuff on tape that's much better than the first 6 or 7 weeks and teams are trying to stop that. What are they going to do to counter it?
Mm-hmm. I know Jalen Hurts said today that he's basically expect to see me. I'm playing Sunday. The ankle's not bothering me. Are you getting the sense that's going to be the case, or is this all a facade from the Eagles quarterback?
It's a great question. I know Robert Saleh had said in his press conference with the Eagles reporters that he's not buying that there's an ankle injury. So
easy enough.
It's a great guessing game. He's a smart guy.
How about that Jason Kelce character shaking off a knee injury to come back into the game against the Giants? He talks about today. I know Nick Sirianni referenced how tough Jason Kelce is and all that. Should he be playing Sunday? You're expecting him to play Sunday?
It sounds like he's going to play Sunday. Usually if you're definitely not going to play, or if there's a real uncertainty, you're not in front of the microphone talking to the media.
Right.
Which, again, Jalen Hurts did the same thing too. So we'll see. I imagine he's going to play. They really need him to play, and he knows they really need him to play. So at the very least, I think he's going to give it his all. All he did was say was that he was dealing with some swelling. Usually if you treat that, ice that, do what you got to do, it'll go down and you'll be fine. So as long as there's no flare-ups, I would imagine he's going to play. The really funny thing was Marcus Hayes asked Jason Kelce if he feels like he embodies what it means to be a Philadelphian, right? And Jason kind of paused and he started thinking about it. And while he's pausing and thinking about it, I'm just a bystander at the press conference. And I just start looking at Jason Kelce, imagining the Mummers outfit on him. And I'm like thinking, does he really even have to think about it before he answers? The guy wore a Mummers outfit. Is there anything more embodiment of being a Philadelphian than wearing a Mummers outfit on New Year's Eve or day? So, or at the parade, I should say. So I think he does embody that classic Philadelphia spirit.
Yes, no, he absolutely does. Speaking of that offensive line, what are we to make of Brandon Brooks? There was some talk about possibly him coming back before the bye. It looks like after the bye, if ever this season. What are we to make of the right guard position right now, the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, I would have thought he would have been back by now. It's usually, although the pectoral strain, I mean, if it depends on whether it's a strain is always a tear. It just depends on whether it's a full tear, partial tear. They don't give out that kind of information.
Right.
It sure seems like it was a pretty significant tear / strain for him to be out this long and not even be activated into the window yet or able to practice. And of course, Nick Sirianni said not until after the bye week, which is still a week away, a week from today, as far as when the bye is. More than that, do you even get an update? So it looks like it's going to be Nate Herbig at right guard, assuming Jason Kelce is going to play center. I thought it was interesting, though. Kelce was talking about Sua Opeta as being like the hot stock guy. He said his stock is hotter than Tesla's right now, which is kind of interesting. So if, as we saw with Nate Herbig, he's an adequate guard. He's lost a lot of weight. He's in better shape, got a lot of experience, but he also had 2 really bad holding calls against the Giants. One that took a touchdown away, one that took about a 21-yard run, I think, from Jalen Hurts away. So I'm not saying the leash is short on Nate Herbig, but if Sua Opeta's stock is that high, the coaches probably are thinking the same thing.
Should I be worried at all about a relationship? about a relationship, the relationship between Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts, or is that all smooth sailing?
It's a great question. Nothing in Devontae Smith's short Eagles career has given you the impression that he's got the diva tendencies and give me the ball or I'm going to complain. But he is a wide receiver. So the history of wide receivers and a really good one, right? So the history would tell you, or the data would tell you that somewhere deep down inside Devontae Smith there might be a diva. Now I do think in this instance, it's funny. Jordan Mailata was crying after he said he gets emotional after really tough losses like that, and I think that was Devontae Smith showing his emotion. The guy wants to win, and you hope that those are the kind of moments that you see, and then you move on from there, that the next day it's fine. And that we don't want flashbacks of, Devontae and Jalen Hurts kind of pacing around the sideline like it was Donovan and T.O., after that first rough game between them and start the seeds of that. So I think that's kind of one of a kind type stuff, but we'll see.
When it comes to this weekend against the Jets, I know a lot of people just look at it and say, the Eagles got this, no problem. And I'm not asking for your official prediction, just yet, because I know you guys are taping your latest episode of Inside the Birds podcast with Adam Kaplan and yourself today. When we air this episode, it'll air Friday. It'll be dropped Friday, as we like to say. What are you What are you feeling right now? Do you feel at least a bounce back game for the Eagles, a get right game going into the bye week? What's your gut telling you right now?
Yeah, I tell you, I really wanted, anybody who saw our pregame show or listened to the podcast heard me say that my gut told me to pick the Giants last week. Not that I think the Giants are a better team, but just, they had a little shake up there.
Yeah.
They had a little momentum. Well, not momentum because they lost to the Bucs, but they had won the week before I just thought, they're home, they're motivated, and I didn't. I still picked the Eagles to win. But my overarching theme on that, Mark, was that just because the Eagles have won 2 in a row and started to stabilize themselves, they are not good enough yet, and I don't think they will be this year, but to say where you unequivocally trust them going into any game to say they're going to win that game. Because if you don't play well, you can lose to a team that's worse than you. And the Giants did not play well, but they won that game because the Eagles fell all over themselves. So do I think the Eagles have more talent and should beat the Jets? Absolutely. If I were, a betting man, would I put my money on the Eagles to win? Absolutely. But does that mean I think they're going to go over there and win by 25-30, or that it's a definite win? And if they lose, it's the biggest shock of the century? No, I don't think the Eagles have garnered that kind of credibility yet to say that they are locks to win any game. They still have to show up and play clean games for the most part to win. They were able to hide some of the mistakes against New Orleans and Denver. Remember, Denver in the second half, Jalen Hurts threw 1 pick, almost got picked the second time, didn't, and only threw the ball 3 times. Now they won because Melvin Gordon fumbled, right? And Javonte Williams had a touchdown taken back too. So if the Jets play a perfect game and the Eagles don't play well, then you could see the Jets winning. But it's hard to envision that scenario of the Jets playing a perfect game.
How confident are you at least that Jalen Hurts will have a bounce back game in this game against the Jets?
It's hard to say. Like, I don't think he's going to throw 3 interceptions. I would say there were times even in the Saints game where he, from a passing standpoint, he was not as effective as you want him to be. And again, they're going to scheme. They're going to do things defensively. If he can't run, if he's really inhibited by the ankle, if that's a real thing, and he's going to be more of just a solitary passer, that's going to be difficult for him, and that will play into the Jets' hands. So that doesn't mean they can't win. He's had some iffy games and they've won before. But I would not expect – the one thing I don't expect him is to turn the ball over the same way. But I do think you have to ask yourself this. The one thing I've detected with Jalen Hurts, sorry to be long-winded here, is that in some of his press conferences, when you ask him about running the ball or this being a run-heavy team, he tends to acknowledge it, but not like he doesn't want this to be known as a run-first, run-heavy team. No quarterback would, by the way. That's not
right.
Just Jalen Hurts. So I wonder if the weeks and weeks of we're now a dominant running team made him feel some internal pressure against the Giants to throw the ball and show people he can throw it too, and maybe that led to some bad decisions that he doesn't normally make. You hope that that's not the case.
Last thing for you, in all your years covering pro sports and all your years covering the Eagles, who ranks above Darius Slay as like most fun press conferences to cover?
Well, probably someone who played the same position, and that's Asante Samuel.
Okay,
as far as like colorful language and personality and no holds barred. It would definitely be Asante Samuel.
Okay.
The great Asante Samuel story. I mean, not only was he an awesome quote in general, but the day that he reports to training camp in his last year with the team before they traded him to the Falcons, I still remember they had a PR guy named Ryan Nissan, great guy.
Oh, yeah.
And Nissan spent a good 10 to 15 minutes talking to Asante before Asante was going to meet the media. And what's going on there. As a reporter, he's trying to coach him into just like, ignore the reports, ignore the fact that they don't let's make this nice and comfortable and smooth. And you see Asante kind of nodding. Yup. Okay. I get it. Then Asante walks on over to us. This is at Lehigh. We have the microphones out. First question is from someone. So what do you think about the fact that the Eagles are trying to trade you? And Asante goes, you want to know what I think? If they want to trade all my interceptions, if they don't want me here, if they think I can, if they're playing fantasy football in the front office, let them do whatever. He just went off on the franchise. And I could see Ryan just everything I just said to Asante just completely went out the door. That's it. But that's what made Asante.
I'm tired. If they're tired of my big play making ability,
Yes.
I remember that. I remember distinctly that quote, man. All right, that's the corners and wide receivers, man. Chock full of personality. Chock full of personality. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys check out the latest installment of Inside the Birds podcast and the newest installment, which will drop tomorrow on Friday with Inside the Birds, Adam Kaplan, Geoff Mosher, as well as what do we got? We got the pregame show coming up Sunday, and we also have, you guys have Quentin Michael and Jason Avant for Q&A. Make sure you guys check that out also. All as part of the Inside the Birds empire.
Music to the ears. Thank you.
Geoff Mosher, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Mosh.
I'm going to go pick out some fur coats. I'll talk to you later, bro.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Thanks, man.